Hello everyone and welcome to the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games live from the StubHub Center in Carson, California. I'm Sean Woodland alongside 2009 CrossFit Games champion Tanya Wagner, and it is day 2 of competition for the individuals. 3 events down, 3 more events today, 12 events total. The overall standings after 3 events, after the pool, row 1 and row 2, it's Sam Briggs out of England, leading the pack, followed by Rory Zambard and Alexander Pacelli, and we are set for the burden run.
Start going, Cat. Go, Cat.
We are underway. A look at what awaits these women as they start their 2.1-mile run. And Tanya, the burden run here really has something for everybody.
This is a fun event for us to watch, but I don't know how fun it's going to be for these athletes going through it. We basically have a very long event ahead of us, but with 4 distinct mini events in the mix. It starts off with a 2.1-mile run. Sean, that distance is just grueling. It's too short of a distance to go, you know, relax pace and get your breath and just settle in, but it's too long of a distance to sprint. So it's going to be that grueling, uncomfortable speed the whole way through.
Your event description, it was a 2.1-mile run. Then they flip an apparatus known as the pig for 100 yards. We'll get to that in a second. Then it's a 600-yard log carry. And then they close it out in the soccer stadium with a 66-yard sled pull. That sled loaded with 220 pounds. And for the first time since we have been here at the StubHub Center, we are using the entire ground. So these ladies getting a good look at everything that this facility has to offer as we are on the initial 2.1-mile run.
That's part of the fun. I feel like having these athletes have spectators along the way. They're going to be at the soccer stadium. They're going to be at the track. They're going to have spectators cheering them on along the way. And in previous games history, we haven't really had any spectators be able to be on the course throughout the event. Pretty neat element, and it's going to help cheer and motivate them along the way.
The overall leader, Sam Briggs, is out front as 4 women have separated themselves from the rest of the pack and started to open up a bit of the lead here. This is the 4th of 12 scored events here at the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games. The first 3 took place on Wednesday. The first one was the pool. It was a combination of a sprint swim and bar muscle ups. That was at the Willett Aquatic Center in Irvine, California. Then the competition moved here to the StubHub Center for a 13.2-mile row at the Velodrome. That was divided into 2 separate events, and Samantha Briggs, the woman who currently leads on this 2.1-mile run, was the winner of both rowing events.
That second rowing event was the very long rowing event. That was a very aerobic endurance event, and although this is another long event, I feel like there will be some correlation, but there's a lot that can change because of the weights in the pig and the Iditarod at the end of this event. So while it may look like to the viewer that, oh, there's another long event, probably it's going to be the same top 3 women, I don't necessarily feel that could be the case.
Sam Briggs at the bottom of your screen is the leader. Behind her is Christy Phillips in the pink, and then to Christy Phillips' left is number 65. That's Kalina Ladera. Sam Briggs, number 30 in that red jersey. Briggs missed last year's CrossFit Games. We had that huge Pendleton endurance event where there was that run over the microwave mountain, treacherous terrain. Briggs didn't get to do that. She was one of the only people I have ever spoken to who said, I wish I could have done that event. She
has a great background. She's a triathlon background, duathlon background. She loves to run. So you can just see she's at a very relaxed look on her face. Doesn't look like this is a struggle for her at all. Another athlete behind her, number 65, Kalina Ladera, another athlete that loves running, marathons, a lower skilled, higher kind of brute grunt work athlete, and so she's loving this event.
But Samantha Briggs runs away with first place. There's your battle for second. In front of the pink, it's Christy Phillips. Behind her is Kalina Ladera. Ladera out of the northeastern region, was she finished 3rd in that competition to get herself here to Carson, California. Day 2 of competition at the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games, and we're kicking it off with the burden run. 100 points on the line here for the winner. The second place finisher gets 95, third gets 90. That deficit then drops to 3 points and then to 2 points in the overall standings. And unlike the regionals, at the games you get points for where you place. The highest score puts you on top of the podium. So Samantha Briggs opening up a huge lead now on everybody else. Not a big surprise here, as Briggs has that background in triathlons and duathlons. And she is a woman who, after sitting out last year with that knee injury, really rededicated herself to cleaning up just about every movement that she has.
She absolutely did. I mean, in 2011, she was 4th place. Everybody said in 2012's coming back it was going to be the Annie and Briggs show, and unfortunately she didn't have that chance to have that happen. So she's slated to be on the podium. By a lot of people are expecting to see big things from her and see her on the podium, and I think this event is going to be one that keeps her there at the top.
Sam Briggs was the popular favorite to replace Annie Thorisdottir as the champion. Thorisdottir out of Iceland is the 2-time CrossFit Games champion. She had to sit out this season with a back injury that happened around the Open. That's when it got worse, and Annie decided that she was not going to be able to compete, and now she is out, as is the 2nd place finisher, Julie Fouché, who is focusing on medical school. Sam Briggs, your leader. Behind her in the pink is Christy Phillips, and then next to Christy Phillips, Kalina Ladares. Those are your top 3 women here on the initial 2.1 mile run. They will make a trip around the facility, then they will go over to the track, and that's where they will have to flip that apparatus known as the pig for 100 yards, similar to a tire flip, but the pig is much bigger than your standard tire that many of these women are used to flipping.
Yeah, the pig is an apparatus that's new, and I love when there's new apparatus, there's new objects, because it evens the playing field for the athletes. They don't know what that apparatus is going to do to them and how it will affect the remaining part of the event.
So Sam Briggs is not within shouting distance of any of her fellow competitors. She is opening up a huge lead here on this first 2.1 mile run. It's her 3rd Games appearance. She sat out last year with a knee injury. And Sam Briggs was a woman in the regional competition in Europe, and that overhead squat event almost didn't make it through. I mean, she was in danger of not advancing in that competition.
Yeah, that was definitely scary, very shaky. I was shocked when I watched her and I saw that she went for that weight, and she was, man, right off the gates, I was like, that was risky. But that shows you what kind of athlete is. She's a risky athlete. She did it, and she pulled it off.
Sam Briggs running away with 1st place, but we will have to see how she handles the pig. That is a movement that would favor maybe an athlete who is a little bigger, a little stronger. Sam Briggs, though, has shown so far that she has no weaknesses through 3 events. And now as we're in event number 4 here, the burden run, here's the battle for 2nd and 3rd. And it's Christy Phillips and Kalina Ladares battling it out for that. And now more women getting into contention there.
Christy Phillips is one of our athletes that have been to the games numerous times. This is her 5th time to the games. She's no stranger to the games. Christy Phillips actually just got engaged in April, so a lot of excitement going on this year for her. Big focus on the games, then focus on getting the wedding planning going.
Anna Tunnicliffe in the yellow, she has moved into contention as well, and they're all chasing that woman, Samantha Briggs, who could take a break, go to a concession stand, do some shopping, and probably still have a lead. Christy Phillips behind her. Anna Tunnicliffe is there, and Kalina Ladares.
Wouldn't be a bad idea for her to pick up a pair of cleats for the end of this,
yes,
event.
That's a really good point. The teams were not allowed to wear cleats. The women won't be wearing cleats either on that final sled pull, and that is going to make a huge difference as they're pulling sleds across a grass surface. So it did rain last night. The grass could be a little more slippery. Traction will be a problem when they're trying to pull that 220-pound sled.
Like I said earlier, this is a long event, but there's no point at which you can settle in. I think the only element in this workout where the athletes will have a chance to get a little rest for their body and for their muscles will be the log carry. And that's just evil. To say that that's going to be where you can actually rest your muscles is a log carry. That's just Dave Castro, the director of the games, evil plotting there.
Sam Briggs, number 30 on the right of your screen. Behind her is Anna Tunnicliffe in the yellow top. Behind Tunnicliffe, Kalina Ladares in 3rd, and then it's Christy Phillips, who's fallen back a little bit. She currently sits in 4th place, but this is only the first part of this event, the 2.1 mile run. After this, they enter the track, and then they will flip the pig 100 yards. Past the 9-minute mark here. Event number 4 is the 4th of 12 scored events here at the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games. It's the burden run.
Anna Tunnicliffe is two-time Olympian and a gold medal winner at the Beijing Olympics in Olympic sailing. So she had just had an event actually earlier in June. Her coach said they were training just nonstop May for this June event that early July event that she had race, and then for the games. So she's tip-top shape for herself here, and first-time rookie at the CrossFit Games.
So it's Tunnicliffe in the yellow behind her, Kalina Ladaris, and then it's Christy Phillips in the pink, and then number 49 gaining ground out of the Central East region is Michelle Kinney, as she has now moved herself into 4th place. But your overall leader in the 2.1 mile run continues to be Samantha Briggs out of England, and she also came into this event as the overall leader on the leaderboard with 285 points after 3 events. Past the 10-minute mark, and now it's Anna Tunnicliffe who continues to put some distance between herself and the rest of the women vying for one of those top 4 spots. Samantha Briggs had a great start to her 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games, 4th in the pool event, and then back-to-back first place finishes in row 1 and row 2. She actually tied for 1st with Kalina Ladaris. Rory McKernan is helping us cover this 4th event, the Burden Run. Let's send it down to him.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Sean. It pays to be a winner, of course. Sam Briggs setting that blazing pace, but she's going to be met by the Pig, Rogue Fitness's new piece of equipment. It's heavy. She gets to choose her lane when she gets here, of course, but when the Pig stands up, it's 5.5 feet tall. Not going to favor the smaller athlete, and these guys haven't had a chance to flip it. Most of them got experience with tires, as we know, but this piece of equipment is brutal, like we saw with the female teams. Let's take it back to you guys. We'll see how Sam fares when she gets to the track.
Thanks, Rory. Sam Briggs making her way towards the track and closer to the Pig. And it's first come, first serve on this, so the first person into the track gets to choose where she starts, and that's big because the later you finish, the more you're going to have to run.
And it's definitely an advantage to be at the Pig first, because mentally that just gives you the edge that you're one segment done in this event and you're the first leader at the next event. This is very mental. When you get to the CrossFit Games, it is all about obviously the components of fitness, and in my opinion there is an 11th component. We always talk about 10 here in CrossFit, but I think there's an 11th component, and that's the mental component. At the CrossFit Games, it is all about your mental ability to remain calm and focused, and if you can chip away and keep your head positive for each little part of this workout, you'll be just fine.
Sam Briggs all by herself in front, and she has plenty of time to spare as she makes her way to the track.
Sam actually took some time off. She is unemployed currently at the moment. She's a part-time firefighter, and she also is an affiliate owner. And she said she's unemployed right now. She took some time off so that she could focus 100% on these games. And she's actually been training with Lindsay Valenzuela here in California for the past little while, past couple months.
Sam Briggs owns CrossFit Black 5 in Manchester, England, as we approach the 13-minute mark. And Sam Briggs all alone in front as she makes the left turn, and now it's onto the track and the Pig flip for Briggs, and she will have the first choice. And then we'll get started on the 100-yard Pig flip. So Briggs taking a moment to catch her breath here. She has plenty of time as the majority of the field is well behind her. After this Pig flip, she'll get to the end of the field and then pick up a log, and then she has to run that back into the soccer stadium for a sled pull. And now she starts on her first Pig flip.
All right, so let's talk about the Pig. We have a Pig flip for 100 yards. The Pig weighs 310 pounds, and it looks most like a tire flip that athletes are used to flipping a tire, but more similarly, it replicates the deadlift. That's a very standard basic movement in CrossFit. It's a standard exercise. And the deadlift uses posterior chain, your hamstrings and your glutes most of the time, and your low back. There's going to be definitely an advantage if you can keep your hips low while you stand up with that pig. If you raise your hips too high, you're going to be putting all the pressure on your back.
And that's a look at how big of a lead that Sam Briggs actually has over that woman, Michelle Kinney, number 49. She's now coming in, as is Kalina Ladares. Ladares has been up front since they started. Michelle Kinney made up some ground and is now in second place. Kalina Ladares sitting in third. And it's Sam Briggs, though, who still has the lead as she continues to go forward with that pig. Now, that pig also is taller than your standard tire, and that presents a little bit of a different challenge.
Absolutely. The pig stands at 5'6", and Sam is 5'7". So it's about her height, and that definitely has a different awkward feel to it. You can see how she throws her knee up into it to get it started, but you can only do that for so long before you need to be a lever and push that weight forward. She's already looking a little gassed, trying to straighten the pig back out in her lane. At this point, you need to just keep moving. You can see her hips rose just a little too high, and she's putting all that strain on her low back, not keeping her low back locked in and tight. She's around. You can see that in her low back. That is definitely going to affect her come the Iditarod. That's the sled pull at the end.
And let's remember that Sam Briggs, prior to this year, did have the reputation of being the athlete who was strong, but the form was lacking.
She does lack some technical skill, and again, you usually see the athletes that are really, they're workhorses and they can dig in and they have that mental push, but they lack that skill and that technique, and usually that's if they're going to break down. I mean, and that's where they do.
Sam Briggs still in first place. Next to her is Anna Tunnicliffe. She currently sits in second.
It was definitely smart that she kept that pig straight because she wanted to keep it straight so it stayed in line, so she didn't waste energy to move it back in her lane.
So Anna Tunnicliffe, second in the Southeast region. She's a two-time Olympian in sailing and actually won a gold medal for Team USA in 2008.
Tunnicliffe is 5'6", so she's the same height as the pig, and she weighs in a little bit more than Sam Briggs.
So Anna Tunnicliffe trying to chase down Samantha Briggs, as Briggs still in first place.
Tunnicliffe, her profession is sailing. She has to be strong to maneuver the sails. So she is used to that strength element in her everyday profession.
Sam Briggs keeping a very steady pace on this pig flip. It's a 100-yard distance that they need to cover here. Briggs on the bottom right of your screen, still maintaining that lead over Anna Tunnicliffe.
The other thing about this event, it shows your aerobic capacity, but if you have just aerobic capacity, this is where you're going to slow down a little bit. Anytime you touch a weight, it's going to slow you down. You're going to see Sam is breathing hard, but I'm going to tell you, Sean, the people that don't have the aerobic capacity and are solely anaerobic, they can move heavy weights for a short amount of time, they're going to be breathing 10 times harder than she is here.
Third place right now is Kalina Ladares, number 65.
Kalina was hoping to see all of these awkward things. She was looking for the unknowns at the CrossFit Games. She was hoping for events like this. She didn't want to see as much of the technical skill work. Another athlete similar to Sam Briggs' background. And so she was really excited about this event.
Yeah, Ladares was fourth after the run and is now trying to make up some ground. She is in third place currently. So it's Sam Briggs on the right side of your screen, who's had to waste time a couple of occasions straightening out the pig and making sure that she stays in her lane. That's what awaits after this. They have to carry that log from the track back to the soccer stadium. They're actually going to go underground and then come up in the entrance tunnel.
The log weighs 65 pounds, and I'm going to predict you're going to see the athletes carry this up on their shoulder. It's going to be the most efficient way. They may blow their shoulder out a little bit by holding it there, but that's not going to affect them going into the sled, into that Iditarod slide.
Yeah, we actually saw the team competition. They had the worm they had to carry. They were flip-flopping back and forth to different shoulders. There's your battle for second place in the yellow. It's Anna Tunnicliffe, number 40. Next to her, Kalina Ladares. Ladares now taking time to straighten out her pig. Anna Tunnicliffe back to work on hers and maintaining second place. And then in the distance, that's Valerie Voberl making up some ground and trying to push for second place.
I have to say, when I first saw this event and I looked at the different segments here, I was feeling some elements and reminiscing about the 2009 games. Started with a little awkward off-trail run. Second event was a deadlift. And the third event then was a sandbag sprint up a hill. First 3 events just similar to this. I don't know if there's any correlation and if there's any thought behind that, but it definitely reminded me of that. And I know how exhausted we were after that sandbag sprint. I don't predict the log is going to be a sprint. Like I said, I think that may be the point where the athletes actually let their muscles rejuvenate just a bit. I don't know if even that's the word you want to use, but get some blood flow back to their muscles before they have to tax their whole body again.
Sam Briggs has about 15 yards to go before she will be done with this pig flip. Behind her, Anna Tunnicliffe in the yellow, Kalina Ladaris in the black, and that white sleeve on her left arm. Challenging for second place, as is Valerie Voberl.
Valerie Voberl is another one of my predictions, possibly for the podium. She is strong athlete coming back after having a baby. Last year, she placed 5th at the games after having a baby, and to me, that's close to my heart, and I can relate, and I am so impressed with coming back with that. This year, she's even that much stronger.
And she's a full-time 4th grade school teacher who has to train sometimes in her backyard so she can spend time with her family. Sam Briggs now standing up that pig, flipping it over again, and she has about 10 yards left before she is done. Actually, a couple more flips now for Sam Briggs, and then she will pick up the log, and run it back here into the soccer stadium. The first time since we have been here at the StubHub Center that we are inside the soccer stadium, and it is filling up right now.
And I know we said the ending of this workout, this event is going to be just grueling for the athletes, but when they come into the stands and they see the athlete or the spectators here, I think their heart's going to start pumping again with some adrenaline.
Sam Briggs done with the pig. She's the first to the log, and now she'll have to hoist this thing up onto a shoulder and then run it back here into the soccer stadium, and she will actually go underground to where all the media trucks are located. They've put a path aside for them, and now Briggs having trouble with it. And she's got to figure this thing out very quickly because she has Anna Tunnicliffe, Kalina Ladaris, and Valerie Voberl breathing down her neck.
It's 3 feet long, and that's just, it's an awkward length. It's an awkward length to put up on your shoulder, and this is all core stability. You have to lock down your abs, lock down your core and your low back to stabilize that so it doesn't fall. So
Sam Briggs now has that up on her shoulder. She has to make her way to the track, and then she has to go around the track and then back underneath the tunnel and into the soccer stadium. And it looks like she might be trying to put it on both shoulders, but right now it looks like it's resting on her left shoulder primarily.
Yeah, she looks like she's just having trouble stabilizing that.
There's Kalina Ladaris, and now Valerie Voberl behind her. Both of those women onto the log, and Ladaris very smooth getting that log up to her shoulder.
Much more steady at first, had a little slip there. I think the athletes are anticipating it to feel better than it is.
On the left, your first place athlete right now, Sam Briggs, number 30. On the right in second is Kalina Ladaris, and now Sam Briggs looking much more smooth with that log as we have hit the 22-minute mark here in event number 4, the 4th of 12 scored events at the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games. It's the burden carry.
Such a great chase. I love when you have a rookie versus a vet. We have a 3-time games competitor with Sam Briggs, and we have a rookie, Kalina Ladaris, just breathing down her neck.
And now Anna Tunnicliffe currently sitting in 3rd place in this event. She has the log up on her right shoulder, and she is making her way back to the soccer stadium. After this log carry, the women will come into the soccer stadium, and then they will strap themselves in to a 220-pound sled. They have to drag that 66 yards across the finish line. It's on a grass surface and no cleats. Ooh. Now Ladaris now having some problems with that log, but she's still able to keep it aloft.
You know what? At that point, I would say it's okay to stop for 2 seconds and just make sure that's on your shoulder better. She's going to waste too much energy just holding onto it so it doesn't fall.
Sam Briggs is out of the track and now making her way down the ramp and underneath the StubHub Center here, and then she will emerge from the entrance tunnel onto the soccer stadium. Kalina Ladaris currently sitting in 2nd place, trying to chase down that woman, Sam Briggs, and looks like she may have closed the distance just a bit.
And that's the thing, she has Sam in her sight. She doesn't want to stop. She doesn't want to slow down for even that second.
Sam Briggs struggled with that log on the outset, but then was able to steady it. Now looks like she has this thing down pat. but Kalina Ladares looks like she's starting to pick up some ground, and Sam Briggs might be in danger here of losing the lead to Kalina Ladares as she continues to reel in Sam Briggs. Sam Briggs has led from the outset, but here comes Kalina Ladares down the ramp underneath, and it looks like she has now overtaken Sam Briggs. The two of them are even, and Ladares threatening to move into first place. These two women tied on row number 1 for first place.
This is why I always say second place is the great place to come in at. You see who's ahead of you, you know where you need to make your move, and you can do it. If you can surprise the person ahead of you, they don't see you coming.
So Kalina Ladares now in first place. Sam Briggs right behind her as these two women make their way underneath the StubHub Center, and they'll come up out of the athlete entrance tunnel into the soccer stadium and then complete this event with a 66-yard sled pull.
It doesn't even look like Sam is trying to pick up her pace. And Sean, I wonder if that's partly because of her inefficiency with that pig. Her low back is probably screaming right now, and you need that core stability, which is your low back and your core and your abs, to stabilize the log.
So now both Ladares and Sam Briggs underneath the StubHub Center here where our broadcast trucks are located. They'll make a right turn and then come up the ramp into the soccer stadium, and the fans here are on their feet as they await the appearance of Kalina Ladares, who has opened up a sizable lead now on Sam Briggs as we are approaching the 25.5-minute mark in event number 4. There's Anna Tunnicliffe currently sitting in third place in this event. The crowd here in the soccer stadium, now more and more of them coming to their feet, waiting for Kalina Ladares to emerge from the athlete entrance tunnel. And here she comes, Ladares, making her way into the StubHub Center soccer field. She will put that log down and then strap into one of those sleds. And again, it is first come, first serve. So she will go right to lane 35, that's directly in front of her. She will strap into that sled and pull it 66 yards. Time stops when she crosses the finish line, not the sled. It's when she crosses the finish line is when time stops. And she is right to work on that sled. Sam Briggs now is in the stadium as well. And she's going to have to put a frantic pace on if she wants to catch Ladares.
A lot of adrenaline right now running through both of these women's bodies. Kalina was off to a great start. If she can just keep that sled moving, that is the key. You never want the sled to stop. Even if you go at a slow pace, keep the sled moving.
100 points are on the line here, and Kalina Ladares currently sits in 7th place overall, and she can help herself moving up that leaderboard with the victory here in the burden run. Sam Briggs struggling with the sled behind Ladares. Ladares has reached about the halfway point. Now Valerie Voberl is in her sled on the right side of your screen, and Voberl is reeling in Sam Briggs as well.
Don't leave Voberl out. Remember, back to regionals. This is the end of the 100s. Val Voberl with her lunges was able to fight through and get to the end out of nowhere. Nice and strong the whole way through. She's a consistent athlete on parts like this, on events like this.
Ladares now starting to struggle as well, and this is a terrible weight for any athlete. And now Voberl and Briggs battling for second. Voberl had it, but now Briggs has passed her. Ladares in front. She is moving well again. Now Briggs is done, and Valerie Voberl has moved into second place.
Valerie Voberl, very smart. She's shortening the length of the straps so she can get a better angle on the pull of the sled. She's able to maintain better tension on the rope. You never want that slack, or it slows the sled down.
Kalina Ladares, just about 10 yards left before she'll cross that finish line. Now here comes Valerie Voberl, who is leaning into that sled and moving it very well. Voberl in second, Briggs in third. Christy Phillips is in her sled. She's on the field as well, but now Ladares back to work. Kalina Ladares on the left side of your screen, coming across the finish line, and she will lock up her second first place finish of this competition. She's 7th place overall coming in, and she will help her cause to move up the leaderboard. Just a few more feet to go for Kalina Ladares as she needs to cross the finish line. Struggling against that sled, Ladares is in. So Kalina Ladares, 28:03. Again, the person needs to cross the finish line, not the sled. Here comes Valerie Voberl. Voberl locking up a second place finish. actually, I take that back. That's Ruth Anderson-Horrell. We apologize to Ruth Anderson-Horrell. That's Ruth Anderson-Horrell with a time of 28:27. Ruth Anderson-Horrell in second place, 28:27. Sam Briggs still in third place, but now she has a couple athletes challenging her for that position. Briggs is back on her sled, moving it over the line. 20 more yards to go for Sam Briggs. Christy Phillips is there as well. So Briggs now trying to hold on to third place. She was in first place overall coming into this event. She has 285 points. She had a 54-point lead over Rory Zambart for the top spot. So if Briggs can finish third, very likely that she's going to stay in that top spot.
For Sam Briggs, she set herself up for everything that she could possibly do to get here. And it looks like we have Christy Phillips who's closing in on her. Fell back a little bit in the run, but was able to catch back up here.
And now Sam Briggs getting set to come across the finish line, being encouraged by Kalina Ladares. Briggs is across and done, so a third place finish for Sam Briggs, and that will keep her in first place overall. She was the leader for most of this event, but once they got to the log, both Ladares and then Ruth Anderson-Horrell were able to pass her. And now Christy Phillips shaking out the legs. Christy Phillips, a few more yards to go, and she can finish in fourth. Past the 30-minute mark here. Phillips just trying to get that sled moving again.
And Christy Phillips sitting in ninth place is definitely going to help her move up the leaderboard. Won't have as big of an effect on Sam Briggs as long as she can keep herself at the top in those top three positions. For all events, she will be fine for a podium finish, but definitely going to help move Christy Phillips up the ranks.
Christy Phillips and now Valerie Vobrel, number 63 in the pink. She is in. Anna Tunnicliffe is in. Sam Briggs, Kalina Ladares, and Ruth Anderson-Horrell have all finished. Kalina Ladares is your winner.
Oh, Becca Voigt just took a slip. That's the thing, Sean, without cleats, it is nearly impossible to get your footing and maintain your footing the whole time on this grass. A lot of the athletes train with sleds, and they do that on concrete or they do it in parking lots, macadam surfaces, but in the grass at 220 pounds without cleats is really challenging.
So Becca Voigt crossing the finish line. 31 minutes, 19.2 seconds. Telena Fortunato in the visor. She is across as well. Fortunato finished third in her CrossFit Games debut last year, locking up an 8th place finish here with a time of 31 minutes, 23.1 seconds.
You can see the girls tearing off their shoes. There are some events that just kill your feet, and they are burning right now. A lot of their lower body is burning right now, and they are ripping their shoes off because their feet are just on fire. Their arches are on fire. They're going to have to get themselves in some ice baths after this.
Cara Webb, number 26, is now the leader on the field.
Body angle is huge on the sled pull. You don't want to be too high and stand upright. You need to lean forward, but what's happening is when they're leaning too forward, they're falling, they're sliding. That's
Natalie McLean, who had the log over both her shoulders and now going to the more traditional one shoulder approach as she is making her way underneath the stub up center and then onto.
Definitely different styles that you see. Really, it's preference. Some of them are more efficient. They open your lungs a little bit more, but usually when both arms are overhead, your heart's just racing that much more.
Cara Webb, last 10 yards before she crosses the finish line. Webb was first in the Australia Regional. She finished 19th here at the CrossFit Games last year. So now Cara Webb being encouraged by her fellow competitors, and now Webb is across the finish line. So Cara Webb, a time of 33 minutes, 1.2 seconds. Emily Friedman, number 54, closing out her event. So Friedman just about a yard left, and she's just doing all she can to get across that finish line, moving back and forth. And she is across. So Emily Friedman finishes 33, 19.2. 6 seconds. Alessandra Pacelli just finished as well, 33:28.5. And there's Lindsay Valenzuela and Stacy Tovar, the two of them trying to cross the finish line. Valenzuela's going to win that race first. Tovar just trying to reach her toes across and get over to stop the event. And now Valenzuela is in. She did a little extra work, but Valenzuela, a 12th place finish, 33:36.4. Stacy Tovar's in. Jen Jones also finishing in now. Elizabeth Akinwale finished as well. Past the 34-minute mark, the winner of this event, Kalina Ladares, a time of 28:03.9 seconds. Rory Zambard, who came in second place overall, finishing 16th, 34:06.9. And now Catherine Davidsdottir with a 17th place finish here in this event, 34:16.9 seconds. This is the fourth of 12 scored events here at the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games.
I'm impressed with these times, Sean. I was expecting a little closer to the 40-minute times. We had just watched the team event, and oh my word, it was brutal. And I said, 2:20 for these women. I don't know how they're going to finish up and make it anybody close to 20 minutes. So very impressive times with Kalina and our top girls.
Margot Alvarez. Meanwhile, Deborah Cordner-Carson is coming across the finish line, or Carla Nunez de Costa there as well. 34:52 for Carla Nunez de Costa, the oldest competitor here in the open division at the CrossFit Games. Erin Light is in. Margot Alvarez now across the finish line as well, as still a handful of competitors left on the field. That's Tiffany Hendrickson. Nicole Tainatongo, number 34 out of the Asian region, making her way underneath the step-up center, number 34, and then up to the soccer field as she gives the okay sign to our cameras. We still have one athlete left on the pig. I mean, this is just a testament to how hard this is. That's Heather Gillespie. We forget how easy these women make this look. It is really hard.
It's ridiculous. I mean, Heather Gillespie she's a strong athlete. She's out of Canada West. She's been to the games. Their second appearance at the games, and it's so true. And this is a hard workout. And we forget when you see the top three and you focus on that, it just seems like, why does everybody just breathes through it?
Danielle Horan is in. Carolyn Franklin is in. Franklin pulling her sled finally across the finish line. Now Michelle Kinney, who was close to the top on the outset of this event. She was second after the run, but now she finishes 23rd in this event.
And you have to guess, Sean, this is the first event of the day. They have 2 more to go. This will definitely affect the event that they know about next, which is the zigzag sprint, and then tonight the unknown, and this is definitely going to affect them.
There's 2010 CrossFit Games champion Kristen Clever on the log, making her 5th appearance at the games. Clever came in with a really banged up ankle.
So unlucky. She was playing basketball last Sunday and sprained her ankle, and you have to believe, obviously the 2-mile run is not going to favor her. She was not excited about the run. And she's definitely slower than we're used to seeing Chris.
Now, Kristen Clever is one of the smaller athletes in the field. She's only 5'2", 131 pounds. So that log is nearly half her body weight.
And
the sled outweighing her by nearly 100 pounds.
While we talk about, and a lot of people like to talk about height and weight, in the past it's not seemed to really slow Chris down, or she's always been able to hold her own with the bigger athletes. I think this year it's going to be it's definitely more the ankle that's affecting her.
Well, she was injured in regionals too. She had that bad shoulder that she really had to battle through, and now an ankle problem. So, Kristen Clever has been far from healthy the past 2 times that we've seen her in a competitive setting. Clever getting set to make that final right turn, and then she will head up the ramp and then onto the field here in the soccer stadium. Meanwhile, Tiffany Hendrickson is also finished. Hendrickson with a time of 37:08.3.
This was definitely an unpredictable event. All of these athletes, I'm sure, spoke with their coaches ahead of time and probably guessed how they would feel coming into the soccer stadium, guessed how these Iditarods would feel, but you can only guess from your experiences, and that's the sled, and 220, not many of these women use 220 on a daily basis on a sled on grass.
You're going to hear quite the ovation now as 2010 Games champion Kristen Clever makes her way onto the field. She's a hometown athlete. Clever out of Van Nuys, California. And now she will make her way to one of the only lanes that remains. And this is one of the benefits of being first into the soccer stadium. Clever, a much longer distance to go to get into a sled at the far end of the field. She'll put the log down in lane 3, strap herself into the sled, and then start to make her way down the field. Meanwhile, Lindy Wall has finished. 38:42.1 for her. Now Kristen Clever gutting it out. That ankle took a beating on day 1. She was using it to jump onto the bar, and then on those bar muscle ups, you had to jump off after every rep. And that was about a 2-foot drop for her, and she was landing on it every time.
She also said the swim was brutal every time she jumped in, but this is not going to feel good on her ankle either. Every time she has to plant and dig her toe in that grass. Here's what I love. We always say it. At any of the CrossFit games, you always see the athletes just cheering on. You can see Camila Blancas, and they actually took her shoe off. She has a history of toenail problems in long runs, so she may have a sore toe, but her shoe's not even on. I don't know if that's a strategy.
40-minute time cap has hit. So plenty of women did not finish this event, but the one who did it the fastest, it was Kalina Ladares, a time of 28 minutes, 3.9 seconds. Deborah Cordner-Carson is hunched over, feeling the effects of all these movements. Heather Gillespie never even left the track. So again, Gillespie, an elite athlete. Let's not forget, every woman in this field is an elite athlete, the best in the world, and she didn't get past the track. It shows you just how difficult these events are.
Sean, Heather Gillespie placed first at the Canada West Regional. First place, that's a tremendous feat. So yes, she's a top athlete. To come here, it just shows that every event, there is going to be a loser. There's going to be a person at the very end. We hate to say it. You don't hear that very often, but every event is not made for every athlete.
The athletes leaving the field after event 4. Your top 3, it's an international affair. Kalina Ladares wins the event, 28:03. Behind her out of New Zealand, Ruth Anderson-Horrell. Then the overall leader coming into this event, Samantha Briggs, with a 3rd place finish. And Kristen Clever, you can see her noticeably limping as she heads off the field. But in 3rd place, the woman who started off with a huge lead, Samantha Briggs.
Very strong start. This is where we start to see some of her form break down, some of the inefficiencies, just fatigued from that inefficient technique, which affected her, carried her to the end where I believe, her posterior chain was just shot at this point.
So Sam Briggs with the 3rd place finish. It's her 4th inside the top 4. In 2nd, Ruth Anderson-Horrell.
She just snuck right in. As soon as it got to the sled, it was like that was the part where she knew she was going to make up her ground, and she definitely did. Very smart athlete, shortening the straps to keep that tension.
And finally, in first, it was Kalina Ladares who made up ground on the pig flip, and then once she got to the log, that's when she was able to reel in Samantha Briggs, and then she never looked back from there.
For this rookie, it gives her 2 first-place finishes already.
So Kalina Ladares, who came in 7th place overall, Ladares stays there after this victory. So Tanya, great start here as we have finally moved into the Step Up Center.
Tremendous start to the day, and Sean, this will definitely affect the athletes and their bodies going forward for the rest of today and the weekend.
The women have run the burden. The men are up next. We'll have more live coverage from the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games. Stay with us. We'll be back.